All right, let's jump right in. Today we're tackling one of the most critical parts of being a real estate advisor in Mexico. And honestly, it's something a lot of people get wrong, the legal reporting thresholds. Knowing these numbers isn't just a good idea, it's the law.
So, let me ask you something, straight up. Just think about your last few transactions. All the leases, all the sales. Are you handling the paperwork and the reporting for all of them in the exact same way?
Well, if your answer was yes, you're going to want to pay very close attention. The truth is, you absolutely shouldn't be. Your legal duty, whether you just have to identify a client or go all the way and file an official notice, all comes down to one key factor, a value called the UMA. And trust me, understanding this changes everything. Okay, so let's break this down. Before you can understand your duties, you've got to understand the ruler the government uses to measure them.
So what exactly is this UMA? Think of the Unidad de Medida y Actualización as the official economic yardstick in Mexico. For this, you have to stop thinking in pesos because the law doesn't. The UMA is a value that triggers your obligations under the anti-money laundering law. It's your one and only official guide.
So, let's see how this actually works, starting with leases. Now, what's really important to get here is that for rentals, it's not just one rule. It's a two-step process with two completely different thresholds you have to keep on your radar.
And this is where it gets really specific. Your duties are split into two levels. The first level is identificación, which is exactly what it sounds like. You have to formally identify your client and build a complete file on them. But the second and more serious obligation is filing an aviso, which is an official notice sent directly to the authorities. Two different actions triggered by two different amounts.
So when does that first alarm bell go off? Right here, 1605 UMs. If the monthly rent on a property is more than this amount, the law says you are now required to do that full identification process for your client. This is your first mandatory checkpoint.
And what about that second checkpoint? Well, that's 3,210 UMAs. If the monthly rent hits or goes past this value, your job gets bigger. It's no longer enough to just identify the client. You are now legally required to file that official aviso or notice with the Secretariat of Finance.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about property sales. Now, unlike that two-step dance for leasing, sales are, thankfully, a lot more straightforward. For sales, you're really just looking for one single, decisive number.
And this is it. This is the number that matters for every single sales deal you do. 8,025 UMAs. If you're going to memorize one threshold for sales, this is the one. Here's the crucial difference. If that sale price is equal to or higher than 8,025 UMAs, you skip the first step entirely and go straight to the highest obligation, filing that aviso or notice. There's no middle ground. You go directly to the official report.
This little table here really brings it all home. Think of this as your cheat sheet. For leasing, on that top row, you can clearly see the two distinct steps. Identification kicks in at 1,605 UMAs and the notice at 3,210. But for sales, on the bottom row, it's just one thing, the notice, triggered at that 8,025 UMA mark. Simple as that. So we've covered the what, now let's talk about the why. Because, understanding these rules isn't just about checking a box on a form, it's about protecting yourself and protecting your career. And make no mistake, this isn't some industry best practice or a friendly suggestion. This is federal law. These obligations come directly from the Ley Federal para la Prevención e Identificación de Operaciones con Recursos de Procedencia Ilícita, which you'll often hear called by its acronym, LFPIO or PI. This is the legal backbone for everything we've just talked about.
So look, if you take only one thing away from all of this, let it be this right here. Following these rules, especially that very first step of properly identifying your client, it isn't a burden. It is the single most important thing you can do to shield yourself and your professional reputation from some serious legal risk.
And that really just leaves us with one final, very practical question you need to ask yourself right now, thinking about your own client files and knowing these exact thresholds for identification and notice. Are you really prepared for an official review?